Okay, this is your boy Rhythm Shift coming back at you with another toy review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Super 7 Wave 3 TMNT Ultimates Rocksteady figure. So we've already got Shredder, Bebop and the Foot Soldier from the first wave of the 1988 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys by Playmates. So this completes those four bad guys from the original first wave with Rocksteady here. Now Rocksteady is a favourite of mine. I remember getting my Rocksteady, what was it? One Christmas in, was it Christmas 1990 possibly? Yeah, I think it might have been Christmas 1990 I got Rocksteady, and that was a very interesting story because the Turtles were really hard to get back in those days when they first came out in 1988, 1989. Well, they came out around here in 1990, yeah. 89, 90. So was trying to hunt them down all summer. Finally, at the end of the summer, managed to get the four Turtles on one day, but never saw any more toys until maybe late November. One day, late November, I went to Toys R Us with my mum and my brother, and they were literally unpacking their shipment of TMNT toys. And they had Wave 1 and Wave 2 figures, and all the kids were basically going crazy trying to get a toy as they were pulling them out in the trolleys. And I remember seeing the frenzy, and I asked my mum if I could get a figure, and she said no. And I was like, but why not? Because it was very rare that I'd asked for toys as a child, and this was the first time we were seeing all these Teenage Mutant Ninja toys since the time we actually found them and bought them. So I was asking for just one, and my mum was adamant in refusal, and at the time I couldn't understand. So I was very upset about that, but it was what it was. What it turns out is that, according to my mum, she'd already managed to find the Wave 1 and Wave 2 toys and had bought me them and had them stored away for Christmas. At the time I had no idea, but she said that the reason why she didn't let me buy one is because she'd already bought them, so I didn't know this. So for the rest of November and December I was pretty upset about that event, but it turns out on the Christmas of turns out on the Christmas of 1990, I was given all of these TMNT toys, and to be honest, I think it was a bit of my mum feeling guilty for not letting me get them at the time. But it was a nice Christmas because I got a lot of figures that on that particular time, which is a kind of recompense for not being able to get one on that time before. So yeah, I got Rocksteady, Bebop, Shredder, Krang, Baxter. What else did I get? Usagi Jimbo, Genghis Frog, Casey Jones, April O'Neil, Splinter. Anybody else? A Foot Cruiser I got, Flush-O-Matic, Double Barrel Plunger Gun. Did I get A-Stuck? No, I didn't get A-Stuck. So those are the toys I got that Christmas, and it was, wow, yeah, pretty awesome to say the least. So getting this Ultimates Rocksteady is quite something I'm looking forward to. So let's see what the inside of the box is like. So the inside of the box is just like all the other figures. Now I've already opened the packaging for this. That's why the clear plastic sleeve isn't on it, plastic bag. But yeah, you've got Rocksteady's face there. Signs of two machine guns there, and it's got the purple slip cover, which is what all the villains come with, except Mutagen Man for some crazy reason, which is bullshit. Mutagen Man came on a green sleeve, but he should have come on a purple. And on the back you've got the 1988 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo there. So opening the slip cover, what you would have seen is Rocksteady in the packaging, but I've already taken him out. Now the packaging was pretty well done for the most part, just as all the other figures are well done. You've got the clear tray that you can see inside, so you don't technically have to take the figure out of the box if you're a mint on car collector. However, there was a problem with this figure. His combat knife, they didn't apply any tape to it, so it had already fallen out in the box. So if you're a mint on car collector, that might be something that you're going to have to face, meaning that you're technically going to have to open the package to put the knife back in the right place, which defeats the point of being a mint on car collector. So that's something that Super 7 should have addressed, because this isn't the only figure this happened to. This happened to Michelangelo also. So if you're a Mint on card collector, be mindful of that. And if Super 7's watching, use a bit more tape on these accessories for those Mint on card collectors so they don't have to open the box if they're not planning to. Now on the back you've got a little bit of a bio, but as I've said with the other figures, the bio is incomplete. You know, it's missing some vital statistics such as height, age, so on and so forth. But here's what we've got. It says Rocksteady, Mutant GI Mauler and Shredder's #1 thug. Rocksteady's tough rhino body makes him a turtle bashing powerhouse. What he lacks in brain is made up with brawn. This mutant mammal is big trouble. With his retro mutagen gun, one shot can level a whole building or a shelled turtle. Off duty, Rocksteady loves to fry up a mess of juicy turtle burgers for the whole Hungry Foot clan. Rocksteady's field glasses survey the area for anything that looks like a turtle. He's mistakenly blasted 6 soccer balls. This GI Rockhead blatantly displays his victory kills with the turtle scalps he wears around his belt. There you go. So, yeah, let's take a look at Rocksteady himself. Right, so here's Rocksteady out of the box, and first impressions are really, really good. He's very large. Let's start by measuring him. So he stands at approximately about 8.5 inches tall, which is roughly around the same size as Bebop. I'll do some comparisons with him a bit later, but yeah, very large figure, and looks very reminiscent of the vintage toy. Again, in terms of feel, the tactile sensations you get from holding this toy, again, one of the things I noticed about the vintage Rocksteady as soon as I took him out of the package as a child is his spine. You know, you can feel his, I suppose you call it his vertebrae, his spinal column really juts out like that, and he's got all these nasty warts on him. And he looks just completely menacing, you know. Very, very menacing character looking. Let's go over the articulation. So for articulation, you've got the head, which can turn left and right, looks up and down. Oh, unfortunately the helmet, the helmet is made of a soft material, but it's actually glued to the head. It would have been nice if you could maybe have removed the helmet. Now you might be able to do it if you maybe heat it up, but I'm not going to try that. And personally I like him with the helmet anyway, but it would be nice to have that option for an ultimate figure. So yeah, as I said, head turns left to right, looks slightly up, not very far, slightly down, not very far, not much movement there, because the jaw hinders it. But on the shoulders he's got up and down. You can rotate them out about that much, which is good. A bit stiff joint, but it's alright. It's got no upper bicep swivel, just like Bebop. There's no upper bicep swivel, but he has the lower arm rotation there, so you can move them out, in and out like that. Elbow bend, but once again it's only single jointed elbow, so you can only get a 90-degree bend. Rotation on the wrists, and he's got an in and out motion, I should say left and right motion on his wrists, both of them. He's got a waist rotation like that, no ab crunch. Now this is a part that I don't like. His legs can go straight forward, but it's the friction on the joint is very loose, so he's a tendency to flop over. Like if you're standing him, he sometimes flops over because he's a bit top heavy, so that joint could have been tighter. He's got a bit of a rotation, but I'm not going to do that because I haven't heated up the figure and the joint's a bit stiff at the upper thigh rotation on the right leg, but on the left leg it does rotate a bit, so I have to heat that up with some warm water. He's got a knee bend, but once again it's only single jointed, so you can only get, that's, yeah, only that much of a knee bend. Forgive me, I just forgot what I was saying. And he's got a lower leg rotate. He's got a knee rotation and a lower leg rotation, and you can bend his legs, his feet forward and back, but not that much because it's a bit of a stiff joint. And he also has an ankle pivot. So articulation wise, to be honest, it's much like all the other figures in this line. And it's functional for this figure, but I would much have preferred tighter hip joints to stop him from flopping over so much. I mean, I can just feel it, he just wants to go, you know. And it's the same problem with Bebop, and these are very top heavy figures, which means for the most part you have to kind of display them in a kind of hunched over stance, such as this. If I can get that foot to bend. There we go, that's a tight ratchet there. Yeah, you have him standing a bit more hunched over, he kind of distributes his weight a bit better. So he's a bit more stable when you have him in this kind of position. So let's look at what he comes with. If I leave him there, if he wants to stand. So let's take a look at what he comes with. He comes with 2 more interchangeable hands, which are punching hands, these fists here. He also comes with his classic weapons, which are, this is the Retro Mutant machine gun, which is his common weapon, what he used in the Turtles arcade game. He's got his combat knife, which is a shared sculpt with the foot soldier, but that's pretty cool. He also has 2 frag grenades, which they look quite similar to what comes with Metalhead. I don't know if you can hold these, let's have a look. Did the vintage toy have grenades on his belt? He might have done. Can't remember, I'll have to get him out and have a look. But these grenades do fit in Rocksteady's hand, but they're very small. Because Rocksteady has huge hands, but they can hold in his hand like that. So you can be holding them. But it's not that secure of a fit unless you push it in really tight. You can push it in quite tight and you'll hold it on his hand like that. Now let's see if you can attach these to his belt, because that's the real question. There seems to be like some space at the back here where maybe you could attach them, so let's have a look. I think that's possible. Yep, that fits. So you can put that there. You can put the other one just squeezing that in. Yeah, that will also clip on the belt, so you can have his grenades holstered on the belt. Now what would have been really cool is if they gave this character a knife sheath. If they gave both Bebop and Rocksteady places where you could actually sheathe their knives, like maybe something on his leg, so you could sheathe the knife like that. What I'll probably do is end up using clear elastic bands to just be able to slot it onto his leg or onto his upper thigh, so you can be holstering his combat knife. You can't really tuck it in the back of his... No, that doesn't really go. Can't really tuck it in the back. But just to show him how he looks with the knife does indeed fit in his hand quite well, which is good. The grenades just fell off. So I don't think I'll be storing the grenades on the belt, because they do tend to fall off. And if they fall off when you're not expecting it, you're going to lose it. So I think I'll be storing those separately, because I hate losing parts and accessories. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, you can hold the combat knife very well. So that's just like the vintage toy. You can be ready to you know, stab with that. It's pretty cool. Let's get his other accessories in his hand though, because these are the ones I prefer more for the most part. So he's got his Retro Mutagen gun. Now the gun doesn't really seem to have any paint, and that's pretty poor, man. The gun just looks like a clear plastic. Now he also comes with a weapon sprue, I forgot to mention. So the gun again is on here, but again it's unpainted, just like everything else is unpainted. So I think they could have indeed used a bit more paint apps on this gun to make it look a little bit more realistic. But the good thing is that he does hold it well, and it is in a pretty good scale to him. It looks good, unlike Bebop's weapon, which was completely undersized, underscaled. So he holds that. Now he comes with a City Sewer shield, just like the vintage toy. Now this shield is a bit of a tight fit on his hand, much like Bebop's shield. As I say, Super 7, man, you need to fix up with these accessories, man, because it shouldn't be... You shouldn't have to fight to get these things in the character's hands. But let's see if I can do this. It's well, there's an art to it, I guess. You've got to do things in a certain order. For example, you've got to put the fingers in and then slide the thumb over and then peg the... See, I have to take the hand out of his wrist to do it. But what I'm saying is, if you slide the fingers in, then put the thumb over, he can get a very decent grip on it, but it's very tight to get it in there. So once that's in there, what I will probably do is just leave this hand connected to the shield, because right, that's how he looks with the gun and the shield, and that's pretty cool. That's much like the vintage toy. But rather than taking the shield in and out, I'll just, if I want to change hands, I'll just use this hand instead. So let's give an example of how that looks. If he's not using the shield, I'll just put a fist there, because I can't be bothered to fight to get it in and out all the time. So you can have him ready to get into a fist fight with the turtles using his brute strength. You can throw some straights, some rights, some uppercuts, body shots, yeah, all that stuff. It's pretty cool, man. So yeah, he's a little bit light on the accessories, it seems, but because this figure is so big, I'm kind of guessing that's why, because you are getting a lot of plastic with this figure. And there you have him. And I think this is really great. I mean, in terms of recreating that 80s, early 90s early 90s Rocksteady toy, I think this does a really great job of recapturing that look and that feel. So let's do some comparisons now. So what have we got? Let's get him looking. Let's see. So I suppose the comparison that people want to see the most is, how does he look alongside his partner in crime, pun intended, Bebop. How does he look with his partner in crime, Bebop? So let's put Rocksteady here, and we'll put Bebop if he fits. So narrow. These guys are so big, it's a bit of a tight fit to get them on there. There you go. Here's Rocksteady with Bebop. And again, I have him in the kind of hunched over stance, because these figures are so top heavy that if you try and stand them straight up, they do have a tendency to flop forward. But as you can see, they're roughly around the same size. If I stand him straight up, if they'll hold this pose, yeah, there you go, the top, the weight at the top is kicking in. If I stand them straight up, here we go. So stood straight up together. Rocksteady is indeed slightly taller than Bebop, because the top of Bebop's Mohican reaches the top of Rocksteady's head, but they both stand fully erect, fully straight up, just under 8.5 inches. Yeah, they're roughly just under 8.5 inches, but they look good together. They look really good together, man. And so that's Rocksteady. Yeah, it's really good. And one thing I've noticed though is that, again, it's quite random whether the figures have peg holes on their feet. Rocksteady doesn't, as you can see here, but Bebop does. Bebop does have the peg holes. So I don't understand the crazy logic and inconsistency behind this, but it seems some figures have peg holes for stands and some just simply don't. It's a bit annoying, because it would be nice if things were indeed consistent across the board. So let's see how he looks with, I've got the shredder here. Shredder. Where's he going to stand? I've got to move Bebop. Sorry, getting names mixed up. Got to move Rocksteady across. So there he is with the shredder. They look pretty good together. Let's get a turtle in there. Here he is next to Raphael. So that's pretty cool, man. Now, that makes Bebop look like, I keep saying Bebop, that makes Rocksteady look like a real boss type character. I mean, versus the Turtles, I mean, you can see he's really going to be a powerhouse going against the Turtles. So that really is a great look, because Rocksteady should be a real threat, I feel. Should be a real threat to the Turtles. Have I got a foot soldier? Yeah. So let's see how he looks in comparison to a foot soldier, another villain. So we can pretend he's commanding an army of foot soldiers. Foot soldier stands quite tall. There you go, this how he looks with a foot soldier. And for the final comparison, I'll do April O'Neil, a human character, because obviously someone who might get kidnapped by Rocksteady or held hostage or whatever. So there you have him next to April O'Neil. That's pretty cool. Okay, so here's a comparison with the Super 7 Wave 3 TMNT Ultimates of Rocksteady on the left, and you've got the vintage 1988-89 Playmates Rocksteady figure. And as you can see, it's a very faithful reproduction of this toy. It's got some more intensity in his eyes, which is nice to see. Looks more angry than the vintage version does, and he looks pretty damn menacing, if I'm honest, man. But in terms of reproducing that old figure, they did a great job. I mean, it really hits the point, right down to the feeling and texture of the figure. I mean, he even has the same, you know, 3 staples in his where the scar is on his right arm, which is something they've reproduced in the new figure, which is pretty cool. Attention to detail. Can you see the staples holding together the scar, holding together the cut in his skin? Really cool attention to detail. And even from the back, if you turn them around, they've got the same spiny texture across their back, and also the warts. You know, these figures are covered in warts on his back, so, and his upper shoulders. It really looks cool. So yeah, that's a nice little comparison with the vintage figure for you. So there you have it. That's the review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates Wave 3 Rocksteady figure from Super 7. All in all, this is a really cool figure, and it's great to have both Bebop and Rocksteady together, and it's also great to finally complete the original 4 villains from the toy line, from the first wave of the Playmates / Bandai toy line. I'm very happy with this. Size wise is excellent. The weapons are scaled a lot better than they are with Bebop. I think the weapons and the shield could do with a bit more paint application though, because they do look like just, you know, straight casted plastic. The grenades are a nice addition, but they don't really clip onto his belt very well, so I'm not really feeling that. They're probably going to stay packed away. And also, it would be nice if he had a sheath for his knife, and it would also be nice if his helmet were removable. Other than that, only things I'd ask for is a better joint at the hips, because when you stand him upright, just like Bebop, he tends to flop over because he's very top heavy, so that makes you have to put him in a squatted stance like this in order for his weight to be distributed properly. What else can I say? Yeah, if you had double jointed elbows and double jointed knees, that would be beautiful. You could get more poses out of him. Also, if you had an ab crunch, that could be cool. But otherwise, you know, these are the faults that plague this line, unfortunately. The same faults plague this line from figure to figure. But with that all being said, I'd give this figure a solid 8.5 or 9 out of 10. Because he really does recapture that vintage toy feel. And this is the coolest Rocksteady I've ever seen. I'm not really feeling the Nekatoon stuff. I'm all about the toys in a lot of ways. I do love, in most toy lines, it's usually the toys I prefer than the animation model sheets, except in some few instances. But for the most part, toys have all the detail, and these are what I was having my adventures with, you know, and building my little worlds with when I was a child and I was playing. So yeah, solid figure, definitely one of the best in the wave, if not the best in the wave. I think the best in this wave is probably Michelangelo, but then he's the turtle, so you know, if you love the turtles, you love the turtles. But I think Rocksteady probably comes in second. I put Metalhead third, and April O'Neil unfortunately comes in last place. I've already done a video review of her and talked about the issues I had with her. But yeah, man, it's just such a shame that they seem to have taken such care and attention in bringing Michelangelo, Rocksteady and Metalhead up into the, what do you call it, the 21st century with this new modern sculpting. But April, for the most part, she just fell short in so many areas. I mean, the lack of articulation, the missing joints that are present in other figures, such as the ankles, and lower boot, upper boot cut you know, it would have really helped. And also, it's just the face, man. The face just isn't hitting the mark. But that's April. This is Rocksteady. Rocksteady's great. I recommend you buy him. If you're a fan of the 80s TMNT toy line, definitely he's a must-have. And even if you just like cool action figures in general, this is a really cool sculpt by the Four Horsemen. This shows some of the Four Horsemen's real talents, man, because they're really good sculptors for the most part, you know. And this figure really is a good showcase of their sculpting ability. So I hope this review has been helpful and informative and enjoyable, and I'm going to move on to the next one. So thanks for watching and take care for now.